I'm Adam.
I'm Keith, and this is Unfiltered Founders. And we're almost out of beer.
We are. Time for another one.
I'm Keith.
And I'm Adam.
This is Ryan. Welcome to Unfiltered Founders. Cheers.
Cheers.
All right, everybody, we're back again here on Unfiltered Founders, and switching it up a little bit. We're actually going to do an interview here with a dear friend of mine, Ryan Piper. How are we doing?
I'm doing well, bud. How are you?
Doing very well. So, premise for us in starting Unfiltered Founders, right, is to really just have a couple drinks, talk about business, talk about why people get in business, talk about challenges that people face in business, answer key questions. And was very excited to talk to you, and thank you for hosting us at your spot here,
We're happy to have
Club, Easton.
Happy to have you guys.
Absolutely. So, give us a little bit of backstory here. It's been about a year, right?
A little over a year, yep. So February 1st was the official transition date of 2024. The interesting thing is my birthday is January 31st. We actually signed the paperwork on my birthday. So
Nice.
actually bought the place on my birthday, which
Nice.
is kind of cool. So
Yep. So what were you doing? I mean, this is a huge leap for you, right? Going into this. What were you doing prior to...
I was in sales for 16 years. So I worked in the restaurant industry from the time I was 15, 16 up until I was about 30. And then we started a family, and, restaurant hours with a baby, not the easiest juggling act in the world. So, decided to shift gears, and I started getting into sales. So did that, and then the opportunity presented itself to become the owners of Porter's Pub, and we kind of just jumped at it. So
Here we are.
When you were working in the industry, was owning your own place kind of like a dream? Was it a goal, or was it just...
It definitely was more of a dream, I'd say, because just this industry is so tough to begin with, and you have to have the right fit. It's like everything has to kind of just fall into place. And it was always like a dream. Christine and I would joke, we have all these crazy ideas of like concepts of a type of place and what we think would work and where and things like that. And then just, as, the kids got older, it just became more and more of something way in the background that we weren't ever really contemplating. And then, the brothers approached us, and because it's this place and the history we have here, we were like, we got to figure this out. Like,
Yep.
we can't say no.
So one of the things that we talk about is making sure that you have a market for your idea. And when you were doing your research on this, like, you already were familiar with it a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
And it already had that market. You knew it existed.
Yep.
What did you see as something different that you could do to expand that market or take it in a direction that you didn't think they were taking?
The biggest thing for us, I think, is kind of just bringing it to, more modern times, as far as like the website and the building of the web page and having that look real sharp, because that's your 24/7 salesperson, is your website and your social media. And Christine, and all that she does with marketing and the website designs, and she designed the website, and she's handling all the social media and everything, and that's helped dramatically. Like, we have a much bigger presence in those markets than, not that the brothers didn't have a presence, but we just kind of accelerated that. And just kind of different things that we've done, like the Mug Club. This is the oldest Mug Club. We can talk about that later then, but the oldest Mug Club in the Lehigh Valley. And everybody knows about it, everybody loves it. And then one of our reps came in and talked about the Bourbon champions, which are those plaques over there.
Yep.
And we were just like, well, everybody loves to be rewarded for things here, so why not, get involved in that? And now that's expanded to, when we're done with the Bourbon champions here, when that second board fills up, we're putting together the pieces to do a Scotch, Bourbon, whiskey club here, similar to the Mug Club, where you'll have a list, you get through it, you get rewarded, and what that is. We haven't quite solidified what that is, but yeah, like all those things are there. But most of it has just been, kind of overview of, menus, overview of what we're offering, making sure we're providing what, people today are, really looking for. And, in this business too, like you have regulars that flow in and flow out, you know what I mean? And we're kind of in that transition. We're getting a new crop of younger regulars that are now coming in and, they're digging what we're offering them. So it's working out well.
What makes somebody a bourbon champion? Just
so the bourbon, so the bourbon champions. Matter of fact, here you go. So the bourbon champions are these 8 bourbons. Okay,
Yep.
You sample each bourbon, and you get your name up on the plaque over there.
Okay, so you're rewarding your clientele,
putting your name on the wall because,
and
it's a bit of an education piece too, right? Because all these bourbons are a little bit different, and bourbon is a hugely popular. It's the spirit right now. Like everybody's into bourbon. So, these are 8 great bourbons, a lot of different variety. There's, obviously different distillers, but different regions that they come from as well. And, and people here, I mean, like with the Mug Club, it's like, you give everybody a challenge here and they jump all over it.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit. I mean, it still had to be nerve-wracking, right? This is an established business. You were going in. It's a business that you knew well. Right?
Sure.
Talk a little bit about the nerves and taking the leap and all the other things that kind of go with that, where you're going from, a career, right, to and ultimately, I mean, working for your paycheck, right? But ultimately now you're responsible for your paycheck and for everybody else's paycheck.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What's the nerves that go along with that?
I vividly remember, like, on the 31st, the night before, just staring at the ceiling all night was just like, oh my gosh, like this is like real, like this is gonna happen. And so it is nerve-wracking. It's a lot, but like you said, like having a career and working for a company or working for other people, you still have your challenges and all that. Well, now I own all those challenges. Like those challenges stop with me, so I've got to be the one that makes sure that everything's being fixed when it gets broken. People get sick or have to call out for shifts, that we're getting those shifts covered. It's every day there's something, a new challenge every day, but it's just, you got to get up and meet those challenges. And in the beginning it was daunting because I still, things were kept very quiet on the transition and the purchase.
Yep.
So, my former employer, I told them the day before that we were buying it, that I was giving my notice. So I was working for them and gave them, my 2 weeks with them, to leave professionally. So I was working 40 hours a week there and then coming here at night and being here until we closed, getting everything, all the paperwork behind the scenes stuff kind of organized so that once, that 2 weeks was up, it was just a little bit easier for me. But it's peaks and valleys, right? Like there's times where like everything seems to be just, clicking and we're going good. And then there's days where it's just like, this broke, that broke, this person can't, like, it's just the way it goes.
So what's the number one challenge? A little over a year in, what's been the number one challenge for you?
Number one challenge for us, I think, has been just, we don't have a crystal ball.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So like you're trying to kind of forecast, budget, think of other things because you got plans of things that you want to do, and like things are going well, and then for whatever reason, business slows down a little bit. Like we don't have a crystal ball to be like, we can say, yes, absolutely, this is going to be the number. This is like, we'll have this amount of money to be able to do this at this point in time, because you just never know. Like the weather changes and business, it affects business. You know what I mean? Like, so it's just not having the crystal ball to just be like, what's going to happen as far as business goes. And then also too, we're a people business. We're, you know what I mean? And we have 28 other employees besides Christina. So there's 30 of us here. So we're managing, 30 people, and like, people get sick and people, move on, and go to other things. And, we love to see our, people spread their wings and, go after their dreams and stuff. And that's just part of this business it's a lot of people coming in and people going out. So, I don't think that there's been a month since that we've taken over that we haven't been interviewing people for one position or another.
Yeah. So let's talk about that, right? Because that's an interesting challenge. And I bought a business. I bought Steel Ice Center, right, with my partner at pretty much a similar time period, almost, I think, within days, like within 6 days of each other. Right? How was that adjustment, right? How was that adjustment in terms of you coming in and staff getting acclimated to your style versus the brother style? And
we were very fortunate. We had a great group of people when we took over, and the way it went down was that day the brothers were here and Christine and I were here, and they brought all the employees in small groups. And then it was just, we're retiring. These are the new owners. And I just explained to everybody, hey, everybody's job is secure. The way you did business yesterday is the way you're going to do business today. It's the way you're going to do business tomorrow. I'm going to be an active owner, so I will be here. The brothers early on were, much more active, but they had a lot of other things going on later in their careers. And, as they were, ready to retire and transition out, they weren't here. They were here, but just not every day, all day. So that was a change for the staff to, have me be in the building a lot. There weren't really any bumps in the road with that. Like, everybody kind of was like, no, yeah, like, you're the new owner and you're here. This is your gig. This is your full-time job. So we were very blessed, very thankful that, everybody was very on board with the transition, and they were extremely helpful to us too, because, with the POS systems and everything else, and just, they used it day in and day out. Not that we didn't know how to use it, but they were helping us learn that just as much as we were, getting them acclimated to us. So it was a great transition as far as that goes.
So we're talking a lot about kind of like barriers and difficulties and things like that. What's some unforeseen benefit that you found by kind of going out on your own? So like, you're kind of like, buck stops with you said, right?
Yeah.
So what's different about that than you expected in a good way?
Just it's rewarding. Like when you're having a good day and you see and you hear compliments from your guests, and how much they love this, or we changed this a little bit and they love it, and they love that we haven't changed things. You know what I mean? Like, at its core, this is always going to be Porter's Pub as it's been. The Mug Club, and we don't have TVs here really. One TV, it's never on. You know what I mean? Like, people come here, they're not on their cell phones, they're chatting with each other. So just the all the regulars that have just embraced us and just love that we haven't changed that about the place, and new people coming in and the responses that we get, and it's been that's been the most rewarding thing with that change, is just the compliments we get from all the regulars.
It's kind of a big thing in the news cycle right now. People talking about use of cell phones, how great it is at the Masters, that people don't have to use their cell phone, how bad it is when people are taking pictures of the dead Pope with their cell phones.
Yeah.
Was that an easy decision for you to say, look, we're going to keep this a social gathering place and not have the sports and the, and those kind of things, or like?
No, it was this is a true public house. And we wanted to keep it that way. Like, that's one thing that Christine and I loved about it. Like, we both worked here in the early 2000s. This is where we met. We each worked here on and off for 6-7 years. We remained super close with the brothers, and that's why they came to us, because we understand the legacy that they built. We understand the history, and we want to preserve that. You know what I mean? Like, this is a cornerstone place in the city of Easton, here in the West Ward in Easton, and we want to keep it that way. We want it to continue that on, and it was important to us. And we have family members that bust our chops all the time. Be like, "Oh, you should throw a TV in." People come, and it's like, it's not who we are. It's just we're not looking to change that identity of Porter's Pub. We want it to be a public house, and it's serious. Like, you come in here on a Friday, Saturday night, we got a little live music going on, and there's just interacting. People are meeting people all the time here, and people love it. It's refreshing that you're going somewhere and everybody's not just staring at their phone or watching the game and going, "Oh yeah, I'll have," it's.
And that can be counterintuitive, right? So, like, as somebody who is looking to start a business, right, or do or
buy one or any of the above,
yeah,
it's counterintuitive to okay, we're not going to put 40 TVs up on the wall. We're not going to do these things that everybody seems to think now is what you need to make a business go. You knew your market, you knew the people who were coming here and what they were looking for, and you leaned into that.
Yeah.
So I really like that.
Yeah, actually, the word that stuck out to me, just from a coaching perspective, right? Like, the coach in me was the word identity. So talk about how important that is. You kind of hit it already, but like, I think too often people don't want to own their identity as a business. right?
Yeah.
And you're leaning into that, to Adam's point, right? Like, this is our identity, this is who we are. And on any team, right, every team,
Yep.
every business has to have an identity. You
Yeah.
have to know what that identity is. And then, we talk in hockey about playing to it, right? You play to your identity. Every game, that's
Yep.
what you want to play to, right? Whatever that identity is, you want to play to that, right? And so how much do you think about that, right? I mean, do you use it very much stay the course, or how hard is it to, when you do have those people that are coming in, right, to Adam's point, they're saying, no, put a TV up. How hard is it to say no? How hard is it to stay focused and stay disciplined to that identity?
Well, the most people that talk about are like, friends of ours
Yeah.
or family members. So it's easy for me to, just, okay, whatever. And just, push that to the side. But the biggest thing is that new customers, people that are new to the pub or new regulars, and all of our long-standing regulars that come in, they love that it's not changed.
Yep.
Even the new people are like, wow, like even yesterday, I bartended yesterday. Well, I closed last night, and there was a couple that was here, and they were talking. Never met the gentleman to their left, and they're both working on their mug club list. They get to talking, and that's what this place is about. It's just the interactions that people start to have because there is no distraction in here. There's no TV. I mean, our staff is chats it up with everybody. Like, it's we're people. This is a people business. You know what I mean? Like, people buy people. They don't buy the widget. They're buying you. So when you have a great staff and people are outgoing and willing to talk and and educated enough to talk about the beer and know what the different beers are on our beer list. And we carry like over 100 beers here. It's a lot to remember. Plus, all the whiskey, all the bourbon. It's people appreciate that like,
Yep.
People are engaged in, this is who we are. And we're that neighborhood corner public house where you can come in, you can chit chat with people and,
So for me, again, being in marketing, having a Glencairn club to go with your mug club seems like a natural thing that I'm smacking myself in the head and saying, why is this the first time I've ever heard this? Are you like familiar with other clubs like what you're looking to expand into? Or do you feel like this is kind of an untapped market that you might be able to get? Because it seems like, again, I go to a lot of whiskey bars.
Sure.
I don't see whiskey glasses like in this same kind of way that you have with a mug club,
Right?
Or
like
like
the champion, the champion plaque. That's the big one.
or
Yeah.
so the champion plaque, like those kind of things. I think are great ideas. So have you seen them before? Do you feel like you're kind of at the start of what could then become like a huge thing? Like, what's going on?
I mean, we definitely did some research, and there are different pockets and different areas that some places have them. You know what I mean? But it's not like everywhere. Even like with mug clubs, like our mug club is unique because you're earning your mug. Most mug clubs, you go in and you buy your mug, and it's like a year-long membership, or you can people do it differently, but this one's unique. And as far as doing a bourbon, scotch, and whiskey, there are people that have like bourbon clubs or scotch clubs and this and that. But our thought process was to incorporate the different categories and let it be kind of educational. Like the Lehigh Valley Bourbon Drinkers, those guys started that group here at Porter's, and Sean Allison and his crew, and they've been very helpful. Like I've had them come in and talk to me about what they think of what I put together, and they've been super supportive and helpful, and they're very like right on, like you start to do this, like we're going to come in and support you. So that's a great thing about like this community too, with the mug club, with the bourbon champions and things like that. The people that are part of groups and into that, they will come and support you because they want to be part of it.
Yep. So stuck out to me that you said you closed last night, which was a Sunday. And in transparency to everybody, we're filming this on a Monday morning, right?
Morning. Yeah.
We've talked about
Breakfast.
Everybody there,
Breakfast.
breakfast. We've talked about passion a lot in our first couple episodes together. You're clearly passionate about this place for a variety of reasons. You worked here, right? You and your wife both worked here. There's a lot of history that went into your family. It was your spot, right?
Yeah.
And so that made the leap a lot easier. Talk about the grind of owning your own business and how important having passion behind it makes that grind easier. That you can close on a Sunday, be here on a Monday, you guys are installing a new grill. Like there's a lot going on. How important is the passion into fueling that grind?
Well, the passion's pretty much everything, right? Like you know, why do you get out of bed in the morning? You know what I mean? I get out of my bed for my wife, my kids, and this is that place that I come to do that for them. So it's you know, incredibly important for us to, you know, continue to be successful and you know, be able to take care of my family, take care of, you know, all our employees call us mom and dad, so it's kind of a joke. So like we call them the kids, you know what I mean? Like I gotta go check on the kids.
Yep.
So like we gotta make sure we're taking care of our kids too. It's important to us that, you know, that they're doing well and that they're getting their paychecks, and you know, we have people coming in the door so that they can make some money too. So it's all about the passion and the love for this place. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, there are mornings I pull up here and I'm just like, oh boy, you know what I mean? But that's just part of it. You know what I mean? Like you have to be present. You have to be present in your business. And in this business, we're open 7 days a week. So, you know, I'm pretty much here 7 days a week.
Yep.
There, you know, I do take time off. I do go, nope, not today. I'm staying away from the pub today. You know what I mean? But, you know, you got to be present. And especially in the restaurant industry, like there's so many variables from day to day, things that can change, things that can happen, you know, and you got to be here. It's not just the front of the house too, but you have, you know, all your kitchen guys, you know, and people in the back of the house that are, you know, the wheels that keep this place really rolling too. Like you got to make sure that those guys are healthy, and we really believe in a work-life balance for our employees too. So it's important to us that they have time when they need the time. You know what I mean? So that might mean I need to come in and work some shifts or pick, you know, do some stuff that, you know, I normally don't do, but that's just what we have to do. And you know, being part of the staff, the workforce here, like everybody kind of appreciates it. Like I'm in the trenches with them. Like I'm not just showing up and pointing the finger and saying you're not doing this. Like I'm part of that, so I get to help be part of the process, part of everybody's, you know, daily routines and success. And you know, I think it kind of opens the dialogue a little bit better too, where, you know they can come to us and sit down and have a conversation, and we can really talk things through, and they don't feel like, oh, this is, you know, that I'm looking down on everybody, so to speak.
Now I've found, and I think Keith as well, those kind of situations where you have to step up for somebody else, or you have to do the close and open back to back, are so much easier when it's for you and your family,
Sure.
and your people that you have, your kids here.
Yeah.
As opposed to, you know, I gotta close and I gotta open again tomorrow. Why couldn't they just schedule like a little, you know, like I think it does make it easier, right? Like it does change how you perceive certain things.
Sure. And we're conscious of that too. Like when we do scheduling and stuff, and you know, people need time off. People, you know, things happen. People get sick, you know, and different things. So, you know, we run into those situations, and we do our best to try to avoid that. Like we're, you know, one of our bartenders is closing, and then they're, you know, we're asking them to open. That's a big ask. Yep. You know what I mean? It's because, you know, we're open till midnight, so you're not getting out of here till 1 o'clock in the morning. Till, you know, and then you get home, and you know, you're wired from being, you know, working all night, so you probably don't even go to sleep till 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, and then, you know, ask you to be back here at 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. It's
a hard ask.
Yeah, it is. So we
and your friend asked you to be here at 8.
Yeah, it's a hard ask. So final question.
Sure.
Right. Because this is, you know, for us, we started this to help people who want to go into business, right? Take those steps, take those leaps. What's your one piece of advice? Anybody looking to either buy or start a business, right? What's the one piece of advice that you want to give them?
Stay calm. The storm gets rough, but if you stay calm and don't think too far ahead down the road, take each day, each situation as it comes. You start thinking too far down the road, and you'll stress out and lose your mind. And you still have to try and find balance. I know I talk about like I'm here 7 days, but I still have to find balance. Like I still have to find that time. You know what I mean? And you know, be prepared to make, you know, like sacrifices, especially if you know, have a family. Like I don't get to go to all the Jack's hockey games anymore. I don't get to go to Tessa's, you know, different practices and events. So like there are times that and they understand. You know, like we had these conversations, but the biggest thing would just be stay calm. You know, you're gonna need to ride out the storm, because there's gonna be high highs and low lows, and don't think too far ahead. Just stay in the moment and just be focused on what you need to do that day. And then, tomorrow the sun will come up and you can get that done on that day.
There it is. Tomorrow's a new day. Always.
That's it. Always.
Always.
Yeah.
Well, we really appreciate it, genuinely, again, for letting us be here
and
the whole
great.
deal.
Appreciate it.
And just tremendous amount of advice, and I got a tremendous amount of respect for you. It was pretty
definitely.
cool. Like I said, I was buying Steel Ice Center with my partner pretty much at the exact
Same
same
time. I know.
Yeah,
It was wild.
we were going through it together, but you've done a fantastic job here in your first year, and
Appreciate that.
Can't
Thank
say
you.
enough kind words. So thank you.
So
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah, so I'm going to say one more thing. Cheers. Like, share, follow us.
There it is.
And we'll leave on one thing from you.
You come in as strangers, you leave as friends. And that's the way it is around here. So cheers.
Thank you, everybody.